sometimes God will call you out and give you an assignment that'll be so big and so monstrous, you'll be like, I don't know if I can do that, God. And God says, good. That's where I want you. Right? I want you in the I don't know if I can category. Because when you're in the I don't think I can do it, you probably stepped into a place where you've got to depend on God. One of the problems with the people of God today and with the world in general, but especially with the church folk, is that God blesses us and we get so high and mighty and we get so, puffed up with ourselves. We actually think that we did this on our own, and we actually believe that we can keep doing it on our own. Kim's testimony was absolutely powerful. Loved it. Amen. Why? Because Kim basically said, look, I was in a situation where I thought I was doing all the right things, but I was under persecution. Right. I want you to understand something. Persecution does not mean that God isn't with you. Right. Most of the time it means that He is. Look, when you are comfortable and everybody in the world thinks you're great, you probably are out of position with God.
Wow.
Amen.
Every man of God who walked powerfully with God suffered persecution. If you have never suffered persecution, you probably not walk with God. Because what God has called out is a peculiar nation. So persecute me if you need to. I'm going to stand with God. I want to know, is there anybody in the house that says, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. You got to get to that place in your walk with God. Otherwise, you're a hypocrite. Can't be afraid of persecution. You got to put your face into many times some very compromising situations, and all the odds are against you. But you got to believe that if you're doing the will of God, that God's got your back. And you'll never discover whether God has your back if you're always depending on your own strength. That's why I talk so much about tithing and giving. People think it's all about money. It ain't about money. It's about faith. It's about how much do you trust God? How much do you believe God? I've walked this path. I don't just say it because I'm looking for something. I say it because I don't want you to be in bondage like I used to be in bondage. I broke the spirit of poverty off of my life. And I broke it off of my family's life. How? Because I had the courage to go into a place that I didn't want to go. I didn't want to let go of that money. I grew up in poverty. Poverty makes you stingy. Poverty makes you hold on to what you got because you're afraid you may not get anything else. And when you're poor as a young person, you really get a strong spirit of poverty in you. And you especially won't let money go to God. Because that's like throwing it into the wind, it evaporates. Hello? I'm not just going to get 10% of my income, please. Look, I've been there. I've resisted it. I've stood against it. And I paid the price for standing against it. Once I got delivered, since I started tithing and never stopped. And you know what? Look, tithing is 10% of everything you make. Not just part of what you make.
Amen.
If you're giving out of only part of what you make, you're not tithing. God causes all grace, right, to abound toward you. And that grace is in a lot of different categories. It's in the physical, it's in the spiritual, it's in the financial, it's in your marriage, it's in your family, it's in all kinds of categories. I've raised 3 daughters. Look, let me back up and say this. Since the day I got healed of withholding my tithe, because I knew the tithe for years. And then when I got in a tight spot and didn't have a job and was working at Gold Circle where I met Pastor Henley. Y'all remember that? Hey, amen. Some of us. I was working at Gold Circle for minimum wage with 2 degrees.
Yeah.
Gold Circle for minimum wage with 2 degrees. And I stopped tithing. I said, God, no. How am I going to have 2 degrees and I'm working over here at Gold Circle? In the hot. First of all, I was pushing papers when I met this man right here. I was working in the mail room with 2 degrees. After I came out of Bible college, I couldn't find a job. I was pushing in the mail room, stacking computer reports and taking computer reports and distributing them to different offices with 2 degrees, and one of them was in the Bible. See, you can be a believer and still have a poverty mindset. And still be defeated. So here I was, and I'm pushing these computer programs around and delivering them to Pastor Henley. Boom. Right? He don't know I'm more educated than he is. He's got the job. I got the chump job. And that's when I stopped tithing. Then I had to go to a second job to feed my family, so I went and mopped floors at the Marshalls in the building that we bought.
Amen.
Come on, 15 years later, I signed the papers to buy the building. I used to mop those floors. Oh yeah. I mopped those floors and waxed them. Came home from one job and went into Marshalls and mopped and waxed those floors every night. And I said, God, how could you do this to me? I sacrificed. I left my good paying job in Washington, D.C., gave it up to go to Bible school, took all of my money out of my retirement income, my retirement account, and put it in the Bible school. Sold everything that I had, a new car and everything. I sacrificed all this for you, and now you got me here with this chump job. I'm not tithing anymore. God, he didn't kill me. He just let me go on about my way, bumping my head. Until I went, I told the story yesterday, until I went, I was catching a bus. Didn't even have a car. I was in bad shape. I went to catch the bus to Gold Circle. I didn't have change. I went to put the money into the coin machine at the bank to get 4 quarters to catch the bus. When I put the dollar bill in there, the quarters came out like I had pulled a lever on a slot machine in Las Vegas. Just quarters just raining out. I was grabbing them going, what is going on? And while I was grabbing the quarters, God said, for me, it's just that simple.
Wow. Hallelujah.
Thank you.
He said, it's not a hard thing for me to open up the windows of heaven for you.
Yes.
He spoke to me right there, grabbing those quarters.
Yes.
And I picked up those quarters, and I tithed from them.
Hallelujah.
From that day to this, I never stopped tithing.
Amen.
Never.
Amen.
And God opened the floodgates.
Amen.
Opened the floodgates. Miracle after miracle after miracle. He delivered me and catapulted me and took me from one place to the next. And all of that, I was living vicariously in the presence and in the grace of God. And even when the director called me and threatened me, and they tried to terminate me 4 or 5 times, nobody could touch me. Why? Because God had my back.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Amen. I want to tell you, folks, I'm trying to teach you how to live with God.
Yes. Yes.
Some of you all are afraid to live in this arena. Some of you, until you get rid of that fear in your life, until you get delivered, you're never going to see the grace of God.
Amen.
If you were blessed with this word, please join us for
Sunday service at 6954 Americana Parkway in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Also, please visit our website at equipercitychurch.com to access past messages and other resources. God bless you.